I am Jeremiah Ajuda Dusu, the author of JAD's Business and Financial Accounting. Good to see you. Let's not waste time. Okay. Of course, you know that we're still on group, eh? We're still on group balance sheet. Okay, so let's keep moving. Okay. So today we're looking at let's see, jointly owned subsidiary, or what you can call co-owned subsidiary, or what you can call joint subsidiary. Okay, so what we're saying here is that the holding company and its subsidiary has shares in another subsidiary, such that when you combine the ownership, it will make the third company a subsidiary of the what? Group. Here's what I'm saying. So let's say we have A Limited. This guy here is the parent or holding company, right? Now this guy has shares in B Limited. Let's say 70%. Okay? So B Limited here is what? A subsidiary to what? A Limited. Now, B Limited, okay, has shares in C Limited. Let's say 60%. A Limited also has shares in C Limited. Okay? Has shares in C Limited. So let's say 20%. Now, what we are saying, or let's say 30%. Now, what we are saying here is that you can see that B is a subsidiary to A. Okay? Now, B has a controlling interest in C Limited. Okay? Now, A has 30% shares in C Limited. Of course, not controlling directly. But when you combine the holding structure, okay, you will now see that C Limited is a subsidiary of the group. Already, A is controlling B, B is controlling C. Now, A has 30% in C. But when you try to combine the structure of the holdings of A, okay, and then the indirect holdings in what? C, it will make C a subsidiary of the what? Group, of which A is the main what? Parent. So we can simply say A Limited, okay, has what? 70% in what? B. B has 60% in C. A has what? 30% in what? C. Now, if you combine the structure of the holdings of what? A in C, A in B, and B in what? C, it will make C a joint what? Subsidiary of the what? Group. So apparently A is going to have a controlling unit in what? In C Limited. Okay? So what we're saying is this. A already has 7% in B, B has 6% in C. So if we say, okay, A has direct 30% in what? C. A has indirect what? How many percent? 70% of 60 will be what? 0.7 times 60, 42. So we have indirect 42%. Okay? Directly A has what? 30%. Indirectly it has what? 7% of 60. That's what? 42. So totally we have what? 72 what? Percent. Okay? So that will be A Limited in what? C Limited. So you can see that with this, C is now what? A subsidiary of the group. So C is jointly owned by both A and what? B. Let's look at another scenario. Let's say A Limited, okay, has B Limited, let's say 45%, right? Or no, let's say, excuse me, let's say 80% in B Limited. Then C Limited, let's say A has 45%. Then B Limited has, let's say, what? Let's call it 40%. Of course, you can see that individually, A Limited does not have a controlling interest in C Limited. B Limited does not have a controlling interest. This is 40%. Does not have a controlling interest in what? C Limited. Individually or directly. A Limited's direct investment is 45, which is less than the controlling percentage. B Limited has 40% in C, also less. But then, when we combine the structure, okay, you can say A Limited directly has what? 45%. That's directly. Now, A Limited indirectly has what? 80% of 40. What do you have? 0.8 times 40. That's 32%. So we have 32%. So in total, A has what? 77%. So if you look at it directly, C is not a subsidiary of A, neither is it a subsidiary of what? B. But when we combine the structure, the holding structure, we find that what? C is now what? A subsidiary of the what? Of the group. So even though individually A is not controlling C, B is not controlling C, But when you combine the structure of holdings, A Limited is having direct 45% in C, but indirectly is having 32% in what? So when you combine all, you find that A Limited is having what? 77% in what? C. So C Limited here is a joint what? Subsidiary, or a jointly owned what? Subsidiary. So what we're trying to say in essence is that, in jointly owned subsidiary, or in co-owned, or in joint subsidiary, okay, you have a holding company and its subsidiary having shares together in a particular what? Company, or in a third company. But here we have to understand the caveat, which means that what? When you now combine the holding structure, it makes that third company, which is C in this stance, a subsidiary of the what? Group. That is what makes it what? Jointly owned what? Subsidiary. I will explain again. What I'm saying is that, you have a main company and its subsidiary. Now, the main company has share in a third company that the subsidiary also has shares in. Okay? But when you now combine the ownership structure, you find that that third company will now become the subsidiary of the what? Group. So that scenario will give birth to what? Jointly owned subsidiary, or co-owned subsidiary, or joint subsidiary. Okay? Now, you see, in consolidating this sort of, scenario, of course, it's still, in two ways. You can have it in two ways. It is possible that you do the two-way approach, sort of like what we call piecemeal. Something like piecemeal, and then you also combine, that principle that we have in, indirect subsidiary, where you have to liquidate any sub, parent in the word schedule. So what I'm saying is this. Of course, let's take this for instance. You can see that A Limited has 70% in B. So your schedule will be like this. Of course, you're going to have A in what? B. So A in B is what? 70%. Then you have what? A in C. So you have A in what? C. A in C here is what? 30%, right? And then you now have B in C. Okay? B in C here will be what? We have it as 60%. So it means that your minority interest, of course, with reference to A in B, you have 30%. Then with reference to what? C, A has 30%, B has C, that means 90, might be what? 10%. So what it means is that you're going to have, of course, there's going to be this, which you already know. Then you have something here called consolidated profit and what? Loss. Of course, under that, you're going to have two holding companies, because here B is holding 60%, A is holding 70%. That means A is a holding company, which is the main, right? So we have A, and then we also have for what? B. Don't forget that I already told you that in this scenario, you would have to what? Liquidate anything that what? We have as consolidated P&L for what? For the sub what? Parent. B here is a sub parent. So anything that you have here, you have to liquidate it between A and the minority what? Interest. So if after spreading your what? Your share capital and your what? Reserve, which I believe you already know how to do that. Now, of course, you're going to have, let's say you have what? CP and L for A, let's say it is what? 10. Then that of B, let's say it is what? 5. Now you're going to liquidate out of what? 5. I already taught you this in our last class. Liquidate out of 5 between A Limited and minority what? Interest. Of course, this is consolidated P&L of what? Of B. Now A has 70% in B, so that means A will take 70% of this 5. So this is going out of here. So what is 70% of what? This 5 here. So if you do 70% of 5, That's 3.5. So that means you're going to have, okay, A taking 3.5. Then the remaining will go to minority what? Interest. Okay? Which is what? 1.5. Okay? Of course, this would have been somewhere here, but because there's no space, I'm putting it up here. Okay? So that means you're going to have this liquidated. So this 3.5, of course, 1.5 plus that's 5. So that will take this off. And then you have 1.5 coming here, 3.5 going towards the A's consolidated P&L. Then the same thing when it gets to the point of what? Goodwill. You liquidate the goodwill of what? Of B in what? C, or dissolve it. Of course, which will share between the main holding company and the minority what interest. So whatever goodwill that B has as well, of course you have to what? Share. 70% of course will go to A, then the remaining balance will go to where? Minority what? Interest. So the same way we did our two-way approach in our indirect what? Subsidiaries. Okay, it's what we're also doing here, just that we are applying what? A bit of what? Piecemeal, principle. Okay, in this method. So this is the first method. This is the first what? Method. So we have this. This is the first method. So it's like what we call the two-way approach. Two-way approach with what? Piecemeal principle. Two-way approach with piecemeal principle. Then the second one is the one we normally will convert it to fellow. When we convert it to fellow, we now go ahead to what? To consolidate. That's what we have done here. Okay? For this scenario now, this structure is the same thing as A in what? In B and C. So A in B will be 70%, A in C will what? 72 what percent. So it has turned to fellow here. So you can now go ahead and consolidate just like we do. We will consider for fellow subjects. This one now, of course, is the same thing as what? A in what? B and what? C. So A in B, of course, we know is 80%, but A in C will not be what? 77 what? Percent. So you can now go ahead to what? Consolidate using the principle of what? Fellow subsidiary. And don't forget that in fellow subsidiary, we will always what? Ensure that the investment, remember, the investment of what? Of B in C in this instance will be shared, okay? To be shared based on what? The holdings of what? Of A in B, okay? So now that means when it comes to applying investment, that investment of B in C, you have to now share it. Of course, whatever B has, don't forget A has what? 80% of it. So the other 20% will go to minority what? Interest. I taught this in our previous class, so I'm just repeating. So you might have to go back if you have not taken that class, okay? So you're going to have to understand the principle of what? Consolidating using the fellow subsidiary, and then the principle using what we call the two-way approach, okay? Which I've taught last class, and then piecemeal principle also came in here for the first method I've explained here, okay? So this is simply, a way to consolidate what? Joint what? Subsidiary. So if you have question, of course, you have to go through it again. What I've just simply said here is that there is a company that is a holding company. The company has a subsidiary. Now, the holding company and the subsidiary both has shares in another what? Company. Okay? Now, it is possible that either of the holding company and subsidiary can have controlling units. It's also possible that both of them might not have controlling units. But the idea is that by the time you now compute or combine the structure of holdings, whether they have direct holding, direct control or not, when you now combine, it now appears that what? The C is now a subsidiary in the group. Then you are dealing with what? A jointly owned what? Subsidiary. And I've explained that in consolidating this, there's a bit of a principle of piecemeal, okay, in the two-way approach I've taught in last class. Or you can still convert it to fellow subsidiary and then consolidate. So I taught you how to consolidate using the fellow. Of course, you can call it the single approach, right? Which I also call the conversion method, which means you have to take it to fellow subsidiary and then you would consolidate. So which I've already explained here. So this is the jointly owned structure. This is the conversion towards fellow. This is the jointly owned structure. This is the conversion towards fellow. So you can just go ahead and consolidate if you don't want to use the two-way method with piecemeal principle. You can use the single-way method, of course, which is more like taking it towards fellow subsidiary before consolidating. So take your time, go through it. If you have questions, you can reach me on the number displayed. I'm going to reply with the right answers. So let us quickly take a question so you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, let's quickly take this straightforward question. So we have the following represents the balance sheet of Kings Limited, Queens Limited, and Pawns Limited as at February 2019. Okay, so we have Kings, Queens, and Pawns. So this is what we have: the assets, we have land and building, furniture, debtors. Then we have investment in Queens, investment in Pawns, cash at bank. We have share capital at £1 each. So we go like that. So information says Kings Limited acquired 90% shares in Queens Limited on February 2016 when reserve was 300,000. Then Queens Limited acquired 60% shares in Pawns Limited on February 2017 when its reserve was 70,000. Then we have Kings Limited acquired 35% shares in Pawns Limited on February 2018 when its reserve was 90,000. Okay, so they say prepare the schedule and then the statement of financial position. So let's take this structure. Kings Limited. So we have Kings Limited in Queens Limited. They say Kings acquired 90%. So we have 90% in Queens. Okay, and then Queens 60% in Pawns. We have 60% in Pawns, and then Kings 35% in Pawns. 35%. So you can see that here Kings Limited has 90% in Queens Limited, then Kings has 35% in Pawns Limited, Queens has 60% in Pawns. So if we convert this, what do we have? So we have A directly has 35%. A indirectly has what? 90% of 60. What do you have? %. So that will make it what? 89%. So you can see that P is what? Is subsidiary of the what? Of the group. So if you want to convert it to fellow, that will be A. Sorry, this is Kings in Q, and this is P. A has what? 90% directly. Then in P, indirectly, it has what? 89%. So we can use the two-way approach with a piecemeal principle, or we use the word fellow principle. So we're going to use both. Okay, so you understand exactly how to go about. So the first one here, let's quickly do the two-way approach with the piecemeal principle. So let's go here. Let's call this two-way, right? So this is going to be K in Q. K in Q is 90%. And the next one we have K in P. K in P is what? 35%. And we have Q Q in P. Q in P is what? 60%. So we have minority interest. Of course, with respect to Q, K in Q, that will be 10%. Then with respect to P here, we have 35 plus what? 60. That's 95. So that means you're going to have 5%. Right? Good. Then we now have C, P, and what? L. Of course, K is a holding company. Q is also a holding company. Okay? So we'll go and just share this way. Alright? So what's the first one we're starting with here? Let's do P first. We have, let's go P limited. So what's the share capital for P? The share capital for P here is 100 million. That's 1,000. So 35% of 1,000, I think that will be 350. 60% is what? 600. 5% of what? 50. So if we add all here, it will give us 1,000. Right? So let's go now. The reserve. What's the reserve of P? There are two acquisitions here, though. When Queens acquired it, it was 70. So at, let's do here, at 60%, we have 70,000. And then what do we have here? We don't know. We have to know what the reserve is. What's the reserve? 300. So at 70, at 60 we have 300. Then 70 is here. 300 minus 70. That will give you 230. And of course we have at 35. At 35%, we still have 300, right? But at 35, what's the pre there? 90. So we have 90 here, which is the pre. This is pre. So this is the what? Post. This is the what? Post. So at 35, we have 90 here. So 300 minus 90, that should give us what? Is that not 210? That's 210. So we have 210. All right. So let's go. What's the pre? It will be 60% of 70. 0.6 times 70. 42. So we have 42 here. So what's the pre here? What's the pre here? 35 of what? 90. Right? 0.35 times 90 is 31.5. 31.5. So what is the minority interest? Of course, you have, what do we have here now? This is 60%. Okay. Minority interest is directly what? 5%. 5% of what? 300. So what do we have? 0.5 times 300. 0.05, sorry. That's 15. So we have 15 here. So what is the CPL for K and for Q? Of course, K has what? 35%. So that will be 0.35 times 210. That's 73.5. Q will be 0.6 times 230. That's 138. So let's add up this and see what we get. So we have 138 plus 73.5 plus 15 plus 42 plus 31.5. That's 300. Of course, it's cool there. Okay, that's for P. Now let's go. We have what? Queens Limited. So what's the share capital for Queens? The share capital for Queens there. What do you have? Share capital is 2 million. So we have 2,000. So 90% of 2,000. What do you have? 800. So minority interests will take what? I think that's 200. So what's the reserve? The reserve is what? 1,100. But when it was acquired, it was 300. That's the pre. So let's say this is, of course, this is P Limited. This is P Limited. So let's go Q Limited now. So of course we have 1,100. So here, pre is 300. So this will be what? 800, right? Yeah. So of course this is 1,100. So what is the 90% of 300? Remember, 90% of 300 is what? 0.9. I already taught you how to get your pre and post, so it's not a big deal now. Times 300, 270. So we have 270 here. So 0.9 times 800. What do you have? $720. So that will be for this 720. Minority interest. What do you have there? That will be 0.1 times 1100. That's 110. That's 110. So if you add these three, it should give you 1,100. So let's go 270. 270 plus 110 plus 720. That's what you have. So we're good to go. But don't forget, you have to what? Dissolve the sub parents. So let's dissolve here. So let's say transfer. So we're transferring this. I'm taking it to this guy here and this guy here. So this is Q. K has 90% in Q. So 90% of this is what? So 0.9 times what? 138. 124.2. So K will take 124.2. The remaining will come to where? Minority what? Interest. 0.1 times 138. That's 13.8. So we have 13.8. When you add these two, you give you this. So that takes that off. Okay, so with that being said, so let's come here. So this is 642. Now we call net asset acquired. So this is 350 plus 31.5. 350 plus 31.5. 381.5. We have 381.5. This is 0702. So let's go. What are the investments? Okay. What is K's investment in Q? 3,000. So we have 3,000. K in P at 35%. How much? What's the investment of what? K in P. 1,300. So what is the investment of what? Q in P. 1,200. So when you do this, you have this is debit balance goodwill. So 1,200 minus 642. This is 558. This guy 1,300 minus 381.5. 918.5. It is 3,000 minus 2070. It is 930. Now, this is Q's goodwill. We have to dissolve it. And that will be between what? The holding, which is the main parent, and minority what? Interest. So let's go. Let's transfer. Okay, we're taking this out of this place, we're bringing it to what? To the ultimate what? Parent, or the main parent, right? So let's go. We have 558. So 90% of this. 502.2, right? So we have 502.2. Then Marita will take the remaining one, right? 0.1 times 558. So we come here, we say 55.8. Right? So if you add this to this, it should give you what? This. So we also transfer this to this place. Have another transfer. 918.5. Let's bring it here, this dash 918.5. Then to come here, 918.15. So you add up, right? This is dash, this is dash. So this is the ultimate goodwill, which is the debit balance. 930 plus 502 points what? 2 plus 918.5. 2350.7. 2350.7. So this is the goodwill. Now we have minority interest. So we add up everything here. 50 plus 50 plus 15 plus 110 plus 13.8 minus 558, then I think there's plus what's there? 200. So this 333. Add up everything like this. So this one is 73.5 plus 720, 73.5 plus 720 plus 124.2 plus 2350. Let's go again. 735, 73.5 plus 720 plus 124.2 plus 2350, 3267.7. 3267.7. So what we've done here is to do the two-way. This is considered for the two-way. Okay, we added when we're adding here. There was a bit of, so we've re-added. So we have three there. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's see if we can. Of course, you understand this already. So let's do the one way. Okay. So we have this here. So we're going to have K in Q, 90%. We're going to have K in what? P, of course. This is like, what do we do now? K has directly 35%. Indirectly, it's going to be 90% of what? 60. So 90% of 60 is 54. Let's check again. 0.9 times 60. 54. So 54 plus 45. That's 89. So it's going to be 89%. So let's go. Yeah. The minority interest will be 10%. So what do we have? 100 minus 89. %. So we have C, P, and L. Of course, that will be only what? K. So let's start with what? P limited. What's P limited here? So what's the share capital? I think that's 1,000, right? So if we share, what do we have? 89% of this. What do you have? 890. And the remaining, I think that's 110. Right? Then the reserve is what? 300. Okay? Now for the reserve, of course you know that the acquisition is at different what? Level. So at the first level here, okay, what do you have? There is a direct acquisition. What do we have there? Kings acquired 35% when it was 90%, 90,000. So this is Kings here having 90%. So 90% of this, sorry, 35%. So this is 90,000. Remember. So directly there's 35% of this 90. When Kings acquire, that'll be the pre, right? That'll be the pre. And then remember, there's also another pre here, which is 70,000, 60% when Queen acquired. So that means directly you're going to have 35% of the pre when Kings acquired. So what is it? Kings acquired, that's 90. So 35% of 90, what does it give to you? 0.35 times 90. That's 31.5. We have 31.5. Then indirectly, 54% of what? 70. So we have 0. What? 54 times 70. What do we have? 37.8. Indirectly, we have 37.8. So when we add up, what do we have? 37.8 plus 31.5. We have 288. Okay, 288. So that's what's going to be the what now? The pre. So we have the pre here. Is that 288? Let's be careful. 31.5 plus 37.8. 31.5 plus 37.8. That's 69.3. Sorry. It is 69.3. So we have 69.3. So what's the post? Of course, the post here will be what now? 35% of 210. Directly, 35% of 210. So what do you have? 0.35 times 210. 73.5. 73.5. So indirectly 54% off. What do you have here? 230. 230. So 0.54 times 230. 124.2. So what's the total there? So we have 124.2 plus 73.5. 197.7. 197.7. So we have 197.7. So minority interest of what? That's 11%. 11% of 300. So we have 33, right? 11% at 0.11 times 300. 33. So if you add this 3, it should give you 300. Let's see. 33 plus 69.3 plus 197.7. We have 300. Okay, so let's go. The next one now will be Q Limited. What's share capital of Q Limited? It is 2,000. 90% of 2,000 is 1,800. Minority interest is 200. Reserve is 1,100, right? So it goes this pre is 300, post is 800. So what's 90% of 300? That's 270. 90% of 800 is what? That's 720. Then what's 10% of this? 110. So if you add up these three, it should give you 1100. Okay, so what do we have? We have net asset acquired. So you add up this, 890 plus 69.3. 890 plus 69.3. 959.3. You have 959.3. So this is 2070. So let's go. Investments. What's K's investment in Q? I think that's direct. It's 3,000. You have 3,000. Now, what's K in P? Remember, there is an investment of Q in P. Investment now, Q in P is how much? Q in P is 1,200. So remember that K has 90% in Q. So K will have 90% of this. So times 0.9. So what's 90% of 1,200? 0.9 times 1,200. That's 1080. 1080. Okay, now that will be plus. Q also have an investment. Sorry, K also have an investment in what? In P. Okay, so K in P now. K in P directly is 1,300. K in P is 1,300. So indirectly is 1,080. Directly 1,2. We add both. You have 1,080 plus 1,300. Right? 1,080 plus 1,300. That's 2,380. 2,380. So when you take that out, what do you have? Minority interest, of course, will take the balance. What's 10% of 1,2? 10% of 1,2, that's 120. This 2,380 is the direct investment of K in pawn, which is 1,300. Now the investment of Q in P is 1,2. Remember, K has 90% of Q, so that investment K will take what? 90. So 0.9 of 1,200. Let's check again. 0.9 times 1,200. 1,080. So if we add it up to this, 1,080 plus 1,300, you have 2,380. Remember, we have 100. Then the 10%, 120 goes to minority interest. So let's go. What's the difference now? 959 minus 2,380. What do you have there? 959.3 minus 2,380. What do you have? 1420.7. 1420.7. So this will give you 930. Yeah. So these are debit balance good news, right? So we transfer this. from here to the right. So we say 1420.7, so it comes here 1420.7. So what do you have? 1420.7 plus 930, 2350, so we dash 2350.7. So you can see the good we have here, since we have here using both methods. So let's go now. So we have what? Minority interest. I'll add up all this here. 110 plus 33 plus 200 plus 110 minus 120 as 333. So you can see how we have here. So there we go. King's Reserve. In question, because we can get it from here, 2350. So you add up everything here. 197.7 plus 720 plus 2350. 3267.7. So you can see that the one-way method give you the same end result as the what? Two-way method, right? So let's prepare the consolidated balance sheet. So we see what? Kings and its what? Subsidiaries. So we see what? Statement of what? Financial position as at 31st December 2019. Okay, so we have this. We have the notes. These are the assets. Okay, so non-current. You can call that note 1. So what's where do we put our note 1 here? We have note 1. So we have all the assets, land and building. We have land and building. So when you add up for the 3 companies, you have 800, 850, 320. Add up, what do you have? 800 plus 850 plus 320. 1970. We have 1970. Next one there is furniture and fittings. So when you add up everything you have, 700, 300 plus 450, that's 1,450. The total will be 1970 plus 1,450. 3,420. We have 3,420. 3,420. So we have current with 2. So what's the current there? What do we have? We have debtors. Debtors. Let's put note 2 here. So what are our debtors? We add up the 3 items there, 500 plus 230 plus 160, 890. Debtor is 890. Bank, we have 550 plus 520 plus 370. 1440. So when we add up 890 plus 1440, 2330. 2330. So what's our goodwill? From the question we have what do you have? 2350.7. 2350.7. So when you add up, what do you have? 3420. 3420 plus 2330 plus 2350.7. We have 8100.7. 8100.7. So we have what our liabilities now. Reserves. The reserve here is 3267. 3267.7. Then we also have share capital. That's the one for the main holding company or the ultimate. What do you have there? Kings, that's 4,500. Okay. Now what else? We have our minority interest. What do we have there? 333. Right? So let's add up. Let's add up. What do we have? 3267.7 plus 4,500 plus 333. So we have 8100.7. This is 333 4500 3267.7. So this is your total liabilities. This is your total assets. Okay, so what we've done here is to prepare a consolidated balance sheet with joint subsidiaries. So here we're able to also use the two-way with the combination of piecemeal principle. Then we've got the one-way, of course, converted to fellow. Right? So take your time, go through it. If you have questions, you can reach my number as displayed. I would like to reply you with the right answers. Keep supporting us. It helps and it pays. Thank you and see you next class.